So today, media engagement has to do with responding to misinformation regarding the legal basis for the Senate conducting public hearing on the national budget for 2026. Senator Dillon, welcome to the media.
Thank you, gentlemen. I hope I'm right because I don't see any lady. Well, we're here with different session. I just wanted to make it clear that the Senate is not in violation of the law. The Constitution is very clear. The text of the Constitution is clear that the budget, being a very new financial bill, originates in the House. Originates in the House. It begins from, commences, starts from that process of, and then of course the Senate concurs if the Senate chooses to do so with what the House passed, or the Senate can propose amendments. That means the House does not have exclusive authority over the budget. What the Senate cannot do before the House is to pass the budget before the House passes the budget. That is a meat of what is missing in all of these arguments. We thought to clarify, and sometimes too, you realize that all of you here, you are legislative reporters, you are in these chambers, you know these things. You have a duty not to us, but to the society to help correct by your knowledge and expertise. You've been here, it has been the law, it has been the practice, it has been the protocol that the budget does not, the draft budget does not only go to the House. The official communication addressing or submitting the budget to the House is also that copy, not carbon copy. The Speaker is addressed by the President submitting the budget through a formal communication for the House. At the same time, the President pro tempore is addressed by the President, formal communication, submitting the budget to the Senate, knowing that the House has original jurisdiction over the budget to pass it first. The processes leading to passing it first is not restricted to the House. They have known this from time to time. From President Charles Taylor to the 12 years of Ellen, to the 6 years of George Weah, and to the near 2 years of Joseph Boakai, the House receives the budget through the formal communication on the signature of the President. The Senate receives the budget at the same time through a formal communication addressed to the President pro tempore for the Senate. It makes the agenda, it goes to the respective committees. If the argument is the Senate does not have original jurisdiction over the budget, which as contemplated by the Constitution, for many years it has been joint budget hearing. Joint budget hearing. The Senate and the House will do joint budget hearing from Taylor to Ellen to Weah to now Boakai. If the House was the only institution that should only hear the budget, deliberate on the budget, pass it before it comes to the Senate for concurrent or proposed amendments, why have we been doing joint budget hearings? We have been doing so to expedite the process so that by the time the joint committees send their reports to the two chambers, we can almost like pass the budget, together. Concurrence will not be a difficult or challenging thing. We have decided that we should hold Senate budget hearing while the House is also proceeding. The House commenced its budget hearing. Before we did the budget hearing, we had an understanding. The day the minister come here, he will not come on his side. The day the other sector come in, so we will be dealing with the other sector. We are not responsible for people misunderstanding of the law. I just wanted to make it clear. The Senate is not in violation of the law. The CMC political leader like to be in the news. Sometimes like myself too, but he like to be in the news for the wrong reason. And all I know, he calls me around. Musa let it go. Let him go to the court. The House has taken the Senate to court before on our decision to pass on a concession agreement, loan agreement, and the House challenged that it had the jurisdiction to pass that agreement first. And the matter went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that the Senate was not wrong. Let it go there again. Honored President, we are in 2021. Those of you who are assigned, you know the history. You know the facts. They are available.
So we'll take questions.
What has triggered the conversation is people are concerned. So why is it being done differently at this point? When we have seen a joint hearing being conducted by both houses at this time, there is a shift. Has there been something happening in the past?
The first person who's supposed to correct that, fact check that, is you, the press pool here, to say this happened before. The Senate has had budget hearing separate from the House while the House was holding budget hearing. The Senate in 2021, 2022, Honor Pro Tem, our chair, I made that motion. I made this motion as well for us to hold separate hearing. Look, if some of you sit at where we sit, unless you don't have conscience, unless it doesn't play on you, to have a $1 billion budget, and nobody seems to be opening the budget to know what we're giving to each sector and to institutions, and everything is the lawmaker then for themselves. Because people are not opening the budget. We want to open this budget here.
Is it at the lower house?
Yeah, that joint committee and the lower house. I don't want to disparage the lower house. You follow the hearing and follow ours, and you'll see the difference. I don't want to disparage the house. That is an honorable house, and those are my colleagues. The Senate will play the elderly role in this matter and going forward. You don't understand what it means for nobody to open this budget where they both, including you in the media, majority of you. Let me put myself in trouble. What a legislative budget. How much there? Oh, okay, then I'll take all the budget. This is over 700-page document, 700-page document. 1.2 billion. What are we giving to the University of Liberia? What are we taking drug from? DA budget from to what? 3.9 million now to 7 million plus. What are we taking education budget from? 120 million to over 134 million. What are we taking the other sector from? If people open the budget, they say agricultural ministry get 13 million. Oh, the whole agricultural sector get 13 million. Where is legit pool education over the budget? Agricultural ministry is not the agricultural sector. You have CARI, you got CDA, you got different institutions that cater into different issues under the agricultural sector. When you put all the budget together, it's way more than 13 million. But when they look at the agricultural ministry budget, they say they get agriculture 13 million. JFK has 9 million in the budget. We can go on. The security sector has jumped from over 101 million to by additional 10 million for the security sector. The legislature budget, of course, has increased from $41 million to 51. We want to open this budget, hold these hearings, so that people understand why these increases, which institution has been delivered, which institution is being challenged, where are the shifts. Then, when we prepare ourselves on a housing or budget, we'll already be ready to know what to concur with or what kind of amendment proposals to make.
Maria Johnson from Page Africa. Senator, what do you have to say to your critics that actually think allocations will not reconcile with one another, since in fact two houses are having separate hearings?
Then you have obligation to have to educate. When the House pass the budget and make shift and send it to us, that they have that authority to do it first. When we have different view, we will pass our view different from the House, and then we'll send it back to the House with the formation of a conference committee to harmonize the two. Then we have one budget sent to the executive mansion. You in the media, you have that responsibility to also have to educate the public. And so again, sound friendly, BJ, your own report there, their headline can be different from the body of the story. That you go report say bow down to Minister of Labor, that was not right. You were here, you did live recording, your headline, maybe you wanted to say that this will come and new there. But your headline was different from the body of your story. It's not good at that. Don't be sensational.
Senator, my name is Mamoto.
Yeah, again, another headline. Dillon started media.
My name is Mamoto from the Library Investigator. So, Senator, I want to know as to whether the Library Senate has already discussed with the House leadership to know the schedule just to avoid conflict.
Their schedule.
It's a schedule that.
Their schedule. We are not, look, this house is the place we all affectionately refer to as the House of Elders. We are not flawless here. We have our flaws, we have our imperfection, but we don't guess when we're doing things here. There were discussions. It's not possible for us to know the final ministers will be over there today, and then we'll call him here today. There were discussions. Their schedule. Their schedule.
Just finally from my end, with everything happening now surrounding the budget, the both houses having divided opinions on which house should have the hearing, do you see this budget being passed before the legislature?
Yeah. Yeah. The few person talking, the House having hearing. Few person won't be in the news. They don't want talking. The House Budget Committee is having hearing.
And my question is coming from the backdrop that you said initially that the reason why there was that joint committee, hearing of the budget was because the both houses wanted to expedite the process.
To expedite, then there were too much question and cloud. Oh, the tempo of the budget. In fact, that joint hearing never allow you, the media, and the people to know what in the book. The Senate is opening the book. Let's open the book. First thing, if JFK has 6 million projected in the budget, you already made the public believe that we don't want we don't want to get JFK 6 million. They play it coming from the draft. You don't get that? This draft ain't coming from the legislature. This draft is not coming from the legislature. It's coming from the executive. If the executive did not give or project additional money for fire service, you are not saying the executive did not consider fire service increase. You are already vet with the lawmaker for the draft that they receive, or you already pounding on the lawmaker for the draft we receive. Our business to look in the budget. Where is fire service? Fire service is 3 million. We need to take fire service to 5 million because we have appropriation power. Okay? Oh, I want that for University of Liberia. And you see, then they get there for themselves. We did not prepare the draft. And I'm not trying to shift blame because it's one government working in coordination. The executive has done its part by submitting a draft. Our business is to do the appropriation in keeping with the priorities of the government.
Just a final question.
So our hearing is in no way an impediment to what is happening in the House. The House is having hearing.
Just a final question from my end.
Yeah.
Today, the update from the committee on
Yeah, feel free. Ask any question or
the
engagement.
committee on
We
which
shouldn't be
we
mistaken.
synchronize, created some sort of tension. Session was disrupted for a couple of minutes based on the reintroduction of that conversation around the reduction in your police salary or in the senator salaries from 8,000 to 5,000. Given what we saw today, are you optimistic that this quest to have lawmakers' salaries reduced is going to be a successful?
Yeah, it's going to be successful. It's already been successful. Now it's back on the floor. It's back on the agenda. I can understand the emotions and the sentiment. I can understand it. Look, referee can get his red card. And I say, if a player running and mistakenly clip behind his friend, the referee can decide to give him red card. If I see referee running and mistakenly clip behind one player, he can't get his red card. Only the match commissioner can punish the referee or decide what to do with the referee. It is courage to say in the interest of the country, I will reduce my salary so that I can have the courage because I have the authority by law to decide what other people making. So let me start with myself so that when I'm dealing with other people on the salary, they will understand that I mean business. Okay. We set the budget law annually and decide the value and the threshold for public vehicle, for public officials. We set that threshold by the law, $45,000. Anybody who buy a car beyond $45,000, if it is not the president, the vice president, the speaker, the pro tem, the deputy speaker, the chief justice, that person is in trouble with the budget law. That's the authority we have in keeping with Article 36 of the Constitution to set our salary. Article 36 of the Constitution, and under the executive, the president and the vice president will make salary as determined by the legislature. Under the judiciary, the chief justice, associate justices, and people in the judiciary will make salary in keeping with the determination by law, by the legislature. So all we're saying, let's set our salary. I have always proposed the base or ceiling, 5,000 or below. Any of my colleagues who say we should make less than 5,000, I'm ready. But let's make the law. The advantage of making the law, it will be clear that you in the media and the people will not be guessing. Because I don't care how we toil for Judgment Day, the postage say we're making $15,000. Even though you in the media, the budget law, the voucher, all the financial trade shows that our net salary after the reduction from 15,000 gross, our net salary here is 10,000 gross. Deduction, tax deduction brings it to 7,900, 8,000. You understand? But if we're on radio now, you open the line. Someone will say, they're making 15,000 now. They think, yeah, we started talking, we started using it to talk. Let's pass a law. When we set our salary, I am proposing 5,000 max, especially for lawmakers. If we pass that law and we live by it, 100 lawmakers from the Senate and the House will save the country $4 million every year just by that courageous action. Every year. Then imagine it will cut our own salary for the country. That courage would not be difficult to find to cut the president's salary, to cut the vice president's salary.
Is that the next target?
we say public officials should not make anything more than 5,000. If we keep it, and some people say, oh, don't mind that Dillon man, he fake and this and that. Fine. Find majority lawmakers to fake like me. Let's agree to make 5,000 and see if the 4 million will save the country every year will be fake. If we put out 4 million in agriculture, in health, in education, or something tangible for the country, let's see if the dividend will be fake. Call on your lawmakers to fake like me only once. Let pass that law. Let make 5,000. $4 million generated or realized just from the Senate and from the legislature. Subsequently, we can go to the judiciary. We can go to the executive. We can now sit down and determine SOEs, any public entity enacted by law, created, established by the legislature should be able to determine their salary, especially the highest echelon of this institution. You know how many persons in public service, in government and public entities make far more money than lawmakers? I'm not doing this to get even at people. I'm doing this as a pay settler. Pay settler that we, the leaders, who have the authority and the power by law, let's start. You see, the legislature, the executive finished cooking the food for the country for 2026. The executive has cooked the food for the country for 2026. This food is the draft. The legislature and the whole bowl here, I call it one big bowl. The executive called the food, put it in one big bowl, and send it to our authority here that will bring all the other small bowl there and decide, okay, the other one here plenty, put it on the side. The other one here take it or put it the one here. We the ones supposed to determine what get in each bowl. Then we give it back to the executive to go do the distribution. Then after that, then we must have the courage and the authority to say, we put 2 spoons in the other bowl. How can half spoon reach? That's our role. But if we don't DJ food properly and we don't have the courage to ask why we put 5 spoons in a bowl, only 3 spoons reach, the bowl always hold us accountable, and understandably, you can't blame the people. So again, when people thought that bill was dead, it's resurrected. Today you saw the sentiment and the emotion and the cross debates on the floor. It's coming back next week for determination. You are media people, but you are Liberians too. Each of you here, you have 2 senators and 1 representative. Once you are from a county, you have 2 senators. Once you are from a district, you have 1 representative. So each of you here you have 3 lawmakers. Each of you. Speak to your lawmakers. Also ask them too. You the media people, when you call us on the radio, I mean lawmakers, ask them, dear Senator Dillon, Bill, what your position? What your position? How will you vote? Or will you support it? Will you put it on the floor? For me, I'm not arguing Mr. Perfect or Clean Guy because I am nowhere near that. But I cannot justify my high salary because people can come to my office to ask me for assistance. In my view, I can't justify salary because people can go to my house or meet me in the street and ask me. You see, even if I was justifiably making 1 million, it is my goodwill to determine whether I want to give some people my salary or not. But my salary should not be tied to humanitarian. Especially when I have the authority to adjust my salary so that it can go to other needs of the country where people will not be seen as begging. Then I can't justify that. We have to make the salary because the people can beg. That look, I don't want to make myself look like Mr. Perfect. But we can do it. It only takes grace and courage. And it takes your support too. That is why certain time I said, I tired talking about that bill because what happened in the Senate today? You are not hearing on the media because they're not Dillon opposing that bill. If Dillon was the one crossed the floor today opposing that bill, it would have been the news for 1 month. 2, civil society people watching. Some of them follow the deliberation today. Have you seen one civil society person or group can you say in support of that bill? No. Have you seen Citizens United for their own good? Can you say we support that bill? But every day there was citizens demonstrating here for who will be speaker, who will not be speaker. Some will got new speaker here, what did they not benefit from? Why the people don't see the thing that's going to benefit them, their own interest, they don't fight for it. He said government are fighting corruption. When LACC invite one public official, you don't see government official carrying placard to LACC against LACC. The very citizens carry placard. Citizens United in defense of the person LACC invited to investigate for corruption. You understand? So I'm not going to get tired. I'm going to keep pushing these things. But here, there are some things you can push alone and you get outcome. There are some things that require support. There are things that require your push too as well. Lastly, I listened to CMC political leader, my friend Musa Belete, on the Spoon Network sometime last week. I think it was Sunday or Monday. They asked him, what will you do differently if they made you president? He said plenty of things that he think he would do differently. But I only 2 things caught my attention. He said, if the Liberian made him president, one of the first actions he would take is to put it in the draft budget that government official will make 5,000. So now all that thing, I jumped in my bed. I was clapping and said, I get supporter. Then CMC political leader Musa Belete further said, you made him president, he will look at the statute of limitation law and amend it and extend the statute of limitation so as to show proof of a determination to fight corruption. In fact, they are almost fell off my bed now because I was all that happened. So on Tuesday, I went on OKFM and I said, CMC political leader should not wait to be president of Liberia. He is already a lawmaker and there is a bill on the floor here for us to make 5,000. Let him support it in the House. Let's pass it together. He ain't got to be president on that one. CMC political leader might not wait until he becomes president, if he will be, to do statute of limitation law. I put statute of limitation bill on the floor for amendment. It passed in the Senate in July of this year. It is before the House. The CMC political leader is there. And what they would do with the statute of limitation bill that we propose, and like all of you know, the current statute of limitation law says, in effect, Dillon is in his office. If he managed to corrupt something like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, or any amount, whether he wants it or not, if he's successful to suppress that exposure and the evidence for 5 years, anytime you move on over that cover and everybody can see that 5 years ago, Dillon stole $1 million or $1. The evidence is available. 1 5-year finish. You can do anything to Dillon again in keeping with the current law. You can see the money in your hand. You get the evidence, but 5-year finish. You can do anything. That is the current statute of limitation law. The statute, the amendment I made to that law to stretch it because my proposal intended to take it to 15 years. We deliberated in the Senate. We met halfway. We took it from 5 years to 10 years. But here's the meat. The meat of my proposal is 10 years for investigation and prosecution. That 10-year window begins from the day it was discovered that you committed a crime. Now when you actually committed a crime. So I'm a senator. Like most of the crimes that may have been allegedly committed under President Weirton, especially corruption-related crime, that were not commenced. George Weah was president for 6 years. If anybody started committing crime in the first year, especially corruption-related crime, in the first year, 6 years finished. And George Weah 6 years finished. That 6 years went without 5 years under the current statute of limitation law, went along with President Weah 6 years. It will be challenging for the LSCC and the Ministry of Justice to prosecute people because when you carry them to court, all they need to do is to carry that law and say, court, this guy they came 5 years finished. That's the law. So the law proposed, we said, not when you committed the crime, but when it was discovered that the crime was committed, then the government has 10 years to investigate and for prosecution. That means if I was 20 years old and I committed a crime, corruption-related crime like that, and I suppressed the evidence and the information until I turned 60 years old, that 40 years in between, right? The day they discovered it, when I was 60 years old, that the day 10 years to prosecute starts from. That is the law I put on the floor. All of you know about it. We deliberated upon it. We passed it in the Senate. It is before the House for concurrence. I'm calling on CNC political leader. He need to wait until he's president. He already lawmaker in the lower house. Let him get picked up. Let him go to the chief clerk office. Get to the speaker and say, let's put in the Dillon bill for concurrence on the floor because it makes sense. Let's start demonstrating now that we mean business. All that thing that maybe president do, they want me that bluff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.